ඊළඟට අවස්ථාව ලබා දෙනවා නියෝජ්‍ය අමාත්‍ය ආචාර්ය හර්ෂණ සූර්යපෙරුම් මැතිතුමාට විශේෂයෙන්ම එතුමා පසුගිය සතියේ සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච සාකච්ඡාවල ප්‍රගතිය ඇතුළු මේ කාරණා සම්බන්ධයෙන් එතුමාගේ අදහස් මාධ්‍ය වෙත ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම සඳහා.
Very good morning to all of you all. Thank you very much for taking time to attend to this discussion. It was very interesting to note the developments both from the US tariff discussions related matters as well as IMF next review program and the very successful outcome following those discussions. It is very important to note the approach that the government has taken and the counterparts appreciated, particularly from the USTR, Trade Representative's Office. It was facilitated through the US Embassy in Ambassador's Office in Washington. And it was a good opportunity for us to get a time slot to meet early while many other countries are trying to reach out to US for these discussions. We all understand this is not targeting Sri Lanka. This is applicable to many countries across the world, the situation in relation to tariff. It was very important to note that they were very appreciative of the Sri Lankan government's approach, that we reached out formally, we reached out promptly and quite positively to engage with the discussions with the authorities. In those respective, Sri Lankan approach was not just one-sided on the government's approach only. We had discussions with the industry before we formulated our response, and based on that, considering the important requirements of industry, particularly to maintain the competitive position our industries are maintaining in the global framework, we formulated our response and it was very well received. So we had very constructive discussions led by the Ambassador Greer from the USTR office. From our side, a delegation attended representing necessary ministries and departments and institutions to engage on those discussions, particularly in light of reaching out and providing any clarifications that they had. We understand there are two fronts in the US tariff discussions. One is bringing down the trade deficit that US is recording as of now compared to the surplus that Sri Lanka is recording. Second aspect is addressing matters relating to the tariff side of it, how to improve it further. And during these discussions, it was very important for us to maintain and explain to them the position that Sri Lanka is within an IMF program. Our ability to make certain decisions are limited to the extent with the program parameters that we are supposed to comply. We are going through an ambitious revenue consolidation program, so therefore there are certain challenges that we may have which other countries are not subjected at the moment. So we were able to explain those situations to the counterparts and they were very well received. They extended good understanding on those areas. Our position is to continuously maintain that Sri Lanka's ability, as I mentioned, for industries on their competitive advantage to integrate with the global supply chain. Our exporters are continuously able to export. Our industry, local industries are able to access raw material, machinery that is required coming from US and other countries, technology that we rely on, our industries are relying on. So how to maintain continuous access, market access through these engagements and discussions. So the discussions were revolving on those areas. Then the next aspect is, it is to watch the developments, because there are many other countries currently engaged in these discussions. As Honorable Minister explained also, our discussion is to establish our position, share the information. For example, even as of now, many items imported from US to Sri Lanka are with zero customs duty. We were able to explain several pharmaceutical related products and several other products. So the details of these items were provided to them and we showed them how Sri Lanka is keen to engage in the global supply chain on a continuous basis as well. Therefore, the ongoing discussions and outcome of those discussions are very important. From the Sri Lankan side, formal proposals have been handed over as of now, and as we are expecting certain response in relation to our details that we shared with them, any clarifications that they require, particularly if their exporters are willing to engage in further discussions to explore what are the other areas that they can supply goods to Sri Lanka. And energy sector was identified a key area during these discussions. I'm sure we all agree Sri Lanka is a net importer of some of the oil-related product, energy-related product to Sri Lanka. So there is a vast opportunity for somebody who is competitive enough to provide with the best pricing to engage with Sri Lanka, either in the gas segments or in the oil segment or in the crude, the refined fuel segment or crude oil supply segment. So there are various opportunities on those areas. We presented those opportunities to the authorities over there to engage their suppliers, vendors, counterparts to engage in the discussions to review the possibility and explore the opportunity to supply those items to Sri Lanka. As I said, there were two main factors that US were looking at. One is relating to the deficit side, other one is relating to the tariff side. So one quick win for the parties is if we can get some of these bulk supplies which is relating to the energy sector, if there is an opportunity, if there is a possibility to assist and facilitate on those areas, which will create a win-win situation for both parties. So we had several discussions relating to those areas. What are the existing challenges if they foresee? And the USTR appreciated the current government's approach in terms of the level of transparency that we are advocating and practicing, zero tolerance for corruption that we are continuously maintaining on the positions, the leadership, government's leadership in relation to these areas. They appreciated on those engagements because in the past, many suppliers, providers and investors were kept out of reach from supplying to Sri Lanka, engaging with Sri Lanka due to various reasons which we all understand. Because government did not facilitate in the past on a competitive basis. Instead, it was about deals, making money for politicians, not about the country. So the counterparts who engaged with the discussions really appreciated present government's approach in these areas. So the next step in relation to these discussions were engaging further, continuous dialogue. We will have continuous engagements once again. We are expecting to have another one soon within a short period of time, because since we have handed over our propositions, we are awaiting certain responses from the USTR side of it as of now. We were able to reach out to the highest level in terms of discussion hierarchy for them to take our proposals to the administration and to finalize. The objective is to see within the 90-day period to which extent we are able to go to close this engagement that we have. And once again, the objective is to maintain the competitive advantageous position Sri Lankan suppliers, our exporters are maintaining. Then in relation to the IMF discussions that we had, it was very productive discussions, very successful discussion as well. As we are all aware, the press release by the IMF indicated the successful outcome, and the government was able to conclude those discussions in light of the ongoing scenarios based on US tariff discussions, because the economic impact of the US tariff discussions were a key item during those discussions as well, to understand how our exporters will be impacted, the reserve positions will be impacted, but based on the discussions it was quite positive. The way Sri Lankan government has prepared, IMF team also recognized our approach, the proactive approach of the present government, the engagement of the present government with a very constructive approach and a plan to deal with it, to resolve the situation. And in relation to that one, the availability of data was limited at that time. That's why when the IMF team was on the ground also, they decided to take a little more time to finalize the details. And subject to we going to US, subsequent to we went to US and had those discussions with them. It was a good outcome. There were several areas that we discussed, the transparency, the governance framework, I'm sure the governance diagnostic report that they prepared, and the progress of the government in relation to those areas. A key item that was discussed, as Honourable Minister mentioned a short while ago, is relating to the tariff adjustments for electricity pricing. And it was quite clear, everyone recognized the independence regulators, Public Utility Commission's position as an independent regulator for them to make the right decision by considering the cost recovery approach and various other aspects that within the mandate that they are required to looking at. Once again, it is imperative that everyone recognizes there should not be a situation that is leading back again to where CEB is incurring losses and CEB continues to accumulate debt as in the past. Therefore, the approach and the way forward was very clear in terms of submission, the regular submission of data from the CEB side to the Public Utility Commission for them to make the right call at the right time on an independent manner. We were able to explain very clearly, it's not the intervention of the government, but it is the decision of the Independent Utility Commission that makes the final call. So once again, on those lines as well, we had very good discussions, and subject to finalizing at the board level, Sri Lanka will receive the next tranche of the IMF disbursement as well, and we are quite hopeful that we will be able to conclude that one successfully as well. Thank you very much. We will be open for questions. Thank you.